Second best again? We've got all the would-be number ones as well. Our latest poll will correct the imposters. Good morning and welcome to the final chapter of college football preview for this season. I'm Tom Kirkland. Paul Crane standing by in New Orleans. Next week in this spot, I'll be here along with Mike Glenn to tip off CNN's college basketball preview for the 1993 season. But enough of next week. This show is loaded for bear, or make that Gene Stallings now. Tuscaloosa is the home of national champions once again. Alabama's centennial season ends in storybook fashion. The Hurricanes knew trouble was in the wind the night before, and the craziness of New Year's Eve on Bourbon Street, the man who dresses as Miami's mascot was shot in the face, but the wound wasn't severe, and the Ibis still suited up and played hurt. But it didn't seem to inspire the Miami players. They had a handful from Gene Stallings' guys. 6-3 tied already in the second quarter after a Toretta turnover. Toretta interception leads to this. Sherman Williams paints his way into the end zone, 13-3 Bama. Gina Toretta's nightmare was just starting. Picked off by Tommy Johnson in the first possession of the second half, and there he goes. The Heisman Trophy winner had a terrible night. That leads to this one-yard plunge. Derek Lassick goes on in with a great second effort, and then the heart attack celebration. 20-6 Bama. Now, right after the kickoff, the next play, the next pass, Toretta again. George Teague steps in front, said he wanted to do this his whole career. High steps into the end zone, 30 yards for the score. The route is on, 27-6 Alabama. Can you believe it? Then Miami's next possession. This is one of the greatest plays you'll ever see anywhere, and it's Mr. Teague doing it. The play didn't count, but look, Lamar Thomas looks like he's headed for 6, but Teague from behind not only catches him, but he takes the ball away. Manages to run away, heading the other way. A penalty, an offside against Alabama negated the play, but one of the best plays I've ever seen. Then we try again. A little bit later, here comes Derek Lassick, had a couple of touchdowns, the Sugar Bowl MVP with the exclamation point. Gina Toretta, well, better days maybe. 290 yards rushing in all by Alabama. Did it 34-13, the no doubt about it final there. So Alabama's now got the longest winning streak in the land at 23. Miami's string ends at 29. And so, too, their bid to make college football history with a 5th national championship in 10 years. CNN's Paul Crane has been in New Orleans all week and now joins us live. Paul?
Tom, good morning. I think the operative word here in New Orleans is still wow. Even the people from Alabama, wow, about the dominating thumping the Crimson Tide handed Miami. You mentioned a couple of the streaks already. This matchup, Alabama-Miami, billed as past against present. Crimson Tide showed its present against present. Among the streaks that continue, Alabama's winning streak at 23. Miami stops at 29, but one of those overshadowed continues, and that is the last 5 times number 1 has played number 2, and number 2 has won. No school has won as many national championships as Alabama, and there's now an argument that no school has dominated the winning of one the way Alabama does on its way to title number 12 in its whipping of number 1 at the time, Miami.
Hey, I think we earned our respect now. Their respect is everyone will respect us. Get across the land.
I was totally shocked. I couldn't believe it, that 29-game winning streak was coming to an end. I mean, I only lost. This is my 5th game I lost since I've been here in 5 years. That's 1 year. The one that hurts the most is the last one.
We shook up the world.
Alabama wins every phase of the game, first and foremost on defense, where the Crimson Tide holds the high-powered Miami offense to minus 13 yards rushing the first quarter and just 6 the entire first half.
We have a great defense, great secondary, and the guys up front put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, which really helps the secondary out a lot. But we have some guys back there in that secondary with a lot of heart, and we just came to play tonight.
We knew that coming into the game they wasn't going to run. They were going to beat us. It was going to beat us fast, and that's what we worked on a lot during the week, and it didn't work. I mean, we just shut them down like we planned on doing.
There's not much I can say other than there was domination, particularly on their defensive side against our offensive front. I wouldn't say that it was the other way around. We were just on the field a long time on defense.
Alabama's top defense in the nation overpowers the top player in the nation, dominating the line of scrimmage. The first 2 passes from Heisman Trophy winner Gino Toretta the second half get intercepted, leading to 2 Alabama touchdowns in 12 seconds.
To tell you the truth, I don't remember the second half. The whole game's a blur, really.
Defensively, we played well all year. When you're talking about leading the nation in 5 categories after 11 games, and that's basically what we did. So there was no reason for me to think we wasn't going to play good defense tonight.
The Alabama win denies Miami the chance to become the first team to ever win 5 championships in 10 years, and in the process takes a step towards smashing what had been the Miami mystique and a 29-game winning streak.
The Miami mystique, to me, really don't take a black eye in a sense because we went out there and we left it on the field. We tried to do what we needed to do to win the game. It just didn't work that way.
It feels good. It really does. Just, I guess, to shut them up and, you know, I mean, they have a great team and, you know, they have a lot to be proud of. But, you know, then again, you don't have to talk about it. If you're good, everybody will talk about you. So, and that's the way we took it. You know, just let everybody else talk about us. We ain't got to say how good we are or whatever. So, but now we've proven it.
Alabama's mystique moves on to a new era as the school, which had struggled for much of the last decade under a sizable shadow of greatness, wins its first national championship since Bear Bryant was coach.
Nobody's going to replace Coach Bryant. I mean, and none of us want to. None of us want him replaced. I've said this a lot of times. I'm just a guy trying to win a few games with a good staff and a good football team.
Oh, the game caps quite a run for head coach Gene Stallings. A man who has a lot to reflect on, but as we found out of just a few moments ago when we spoke with Coach Stallings, this morning is still a little early to reflect on all that happened last night.
Last night it was hard to go to sleep. I got up early this morning, read the papers, so it was a great accomplishment. It's no question about that.
How about how far you personally have come with this team? Your start at Alabama, I would think, which was a dream come true to get the job. But then the 0-3 start, boy, it's been a long way since then.
Well, but you know, even in the 0-3, we played pretty good, and we just weren't winning. And the fact now that we're not shooting ourselves in the foot, and see how hard the players practice and work, and they enjoy it, and that's part of the pleasure that I get, and seeing the team really sort of operate on one heartbeat, and we're doing that right now.
Now, people may not realize you've been part of national championships before, Super Bowl winners before, but never as the head man. Is it any different with you calling the shots?
Well, it is. It's even though it is at the same time, and I mentioned a few minutes ago that a lot of the pleasure that I get is seeing the players really accomplish what they want to accomplish. I'm in the twilight of my career. Theirs is just getting started. Same with our coaches. I feel like they've done such an outstanding job that I'm pleased for them also.
Now, any coach's career tends to have its roller coaster moments. Your family rides those with you. I would say it'd be hard to find happier people than the Stallings family about this one.
Yeah, and little Johnny, you know, he was thrilled with the win, and just so happened that our 4 daughters and all son-in-laws, all 4 of the son-in-laws were here to see this game also, so that makes it fun.
Well, over the course of the game in particular, when, if at any time, did you think you've got the national championship?
A minute and 50 seconds. I turned to somebody and I said, you know, I don't think they can score 3 times in a minute and 50 seconds. So that's when I felt a little bit better.
Not until less than 2 minutes to go in the game?
Yeah. Well, you know, I was in a game one time where we scored 3 times in 3 minutes. So I know it can happen. It doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. So, but when that thing passed the 2-minute thing, I felt like we were going to win it.
So where does Gene Stallings in Alabama go now?
Well, the thing that we've got to do now is get into the recruiting program, which is awfully important, and then it won't be long before we're in spring practice, and you know, this year is going to be history. I'm going to enjoy it for a while, but you know, it's what are we doing now that's important. We've got to replace graduating seniors, and we've had great leadership, so that's my major concern now, is getting in recruiting.
Well, I would think recruiting would be a lot easier now, and if I may say, you'd have to look long and hard to find a better man or a more deserving coach to experience what's happened to Gene Stallings now. We'll be back with more from New Orleans a little bit later in the show. Tom?
Okay, thanks a lot, Paul. While it was in the wind perhaps for weeks, in the wind and rain of Anaheim Stadium Tuesday night, the beginning of the USA Today CNN Top 25 Coaches Poll. You know who's number 1, so who finishes number 2? Florida State's there thanks to their big Orange Bowl win. Then the Hurricanes down to 3rd, followed by Notre Dame. Then the Wolverines finishing strong in the Rose. We've got their highlights coming up in a moment. We'll show and tell you more.
Season undefeated. Today, both major polls voted Alabama the 1992 national champion.
Coming up up on SportsCenter, the NFL's bowl season begins. Can Mark Griffin rediscover his Super Bowl form? Never has Sean Salisbury had as much at stake. Dan Humphries is charged up for San Diego's first playoff game in 9 years. But can he shoulder the Chiefs' punishing defense? Elsewhere in Southern California, John Robinson appears to be having a flashback he can't pass up, while Mark Jackson is revved up for a garden reunion with the Knicks. As Gene Stallings brings Bama back to the Bear era, we check the ranking fallout from the other New Year's Bowls. Arizona won't be hanging in the polls if they don't stop getting rammed at home. In your face, on your face, face it. There's no containing your enthusiasm for SportsCenter.
It's that time of the year to hold on to the ball and run down the clock. Welcome to SportsCenter, everybody. Alongside Gary Miller, I'm Jack Edwards.
Some people will do anything to get on ESPN. We have to. Ahead in this half-hour, full report on how sweet it is for Alabama at the Sugar Bowl as Miami tries to sort out what hit them. But we begin with the NFL's bowl season.
Yeah,
this is the last one.
Well, I think I can take that one.
SportsCenter is brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Well, Boltergeist lives on. Want to tell you it's a final now in San Diego. 17-0. The San Diego Chargers have eliminated the Kansas City Chiefs in the wild card round. We'll have highlights later on SportsCenter. Don't forget primetime coming up at 7:30 Eastern Time. Back to the college game now, and New Orleans is quieting down, not because the party's over, but because it's moving on down the road to Tuscaloosa and the rest of the state of Alabama. The Tide made Heisman winner Gino Torretta look pretty confused last night and won the national championship at the Sugar Bowl. Let's send it down south to Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, and Craig James.
In New Orleans today, Gene Stallings and Alabama collecting college football's ultimate prize.
I'll remind you again that the crystal football is valued at $35,000.